Welcome, everyone. My name's Patricia Kranz. I'm the executive director of the Overseas Press Club. And today we're having a program called Learn How to Create and Make the Most of a Muck Rack Profile. And Andrew Mercier, the senior director of editorial at Muck Rack, will show us how to create a Muck Rack profile, share your pitching preferences, and use its tools to analyze news on any topic. If you have questions, please put them in the chat and Andrew can take them up at the proper moment. And so now I turn it over to you, Andrew. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Patricia. It's nice to be here and, excited to talk through all of the free and amazing tools that Muck Rack has available for journalists to use in their daily work, as well as, the ever more common searching for work, either freelance or full time. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So yeah, like Patricia said, this entire session is meant to kind of walk through Muck Rack, what it is, how it works, and how you all can get on it and use it every day. A quick thing about me, I'm Andrew. I've been at Muck Rack for over 8.5 years, so very long time, more than half of Muck Rack's entire life. So I have some of my socials and contact information. Feel free to reach out, connect with me on any socials. Happy to connect with any of you. So excuse the bit of horn tooting, but we do have to say that a ton of journalists love and use Muck Rack every single day. Here's just a few, testimonials about all the things that they love, including and mostly, having all of their bylines in one place and an automatically updating and free profile that they can easily share with friends, family, and prospective employers. So we do take that very seriously. Here are just some of our partners we work with, some of the major associations that we work to, just spread the word and have all their members, use this to manage and track all their work, as well as, apply our free tools, including all of you here. So some of the things that we're going to cover is actually getting set up with your profile, what kind of tools are available, what Muck Rack verification means, as well as what tools are available as part of that program. Keeping up with, industry moves and job updates, as well as using our trends tool to research story ideas and even create great graphics that you can use in your coverage. I'll just get out of this presentation actually to kind of walk you through kind of a beginning to end process, right? So here at this is kind of our landing page for journalists. It's muckrack.com/journalists. And it explains, at a high level, all of the things that Muck Rack does and all of the things that are available to folks for free on the platform. And it's also a great and easy way to kind of click through and easily, wow, thanks Cloudflare for keeping us safe. You can use to directly sign up for a profile. And then once you're signed up, there are a couple of means that you can use to actually claim an existing profile. Many of you may have noticed that you have profiles that come up quite high in Google, and most of those are automatically created and updated by my team in order to have journalists quickly claim them. So you can claim them using your email, your X, formerly Twitter, account. And if neither of those work, then you can always just reach out to us. So what you're seeing here in front of me is I'm logged in kind of as a test account, but this is the option to, connect your X account or, claim with a different method. We'll go ahead and just do that and worry about that later. So once you're in, there's, the main page that you're kind of taken to is our main kind of search page. And this is the means by which people can use to search for other people in the industry by name, by keyword, any number of things. There's a lot of very complicated filters. I won't spend too much time on this search capability, more on the profile and other tools, but all of Muck Rack is kind of built around the content therein and the ability to search for all of it via any number of these different tabs, all of which are fully available to verified folks on Muck Rack. And then, within that, you have these kind of an ability, just like any other kind of social profile, because we like to think of Muck Rack as a social network for journalists in a lot of ways, is to fill in all the information to make it as as filled in and as nice looking as possible. And what makes that, look attractive as you share them around with prospective employers and friends and family. So I'm going to show you some of these, just some examples of some profiles that are really well filled out. So, you can fill in things like your contact preferences, when you like to be emailed, how you like to be emailed. And this is all kind of from the angle of being pitched. You can put in, a longer kind of biography here. Um, you can upload your own clips, and this is great for featuring your favorite work, your top pieces, things that you're super proud about, and it's also much more visual. Whereas if you scroll down a little more, you have this article section, which is what is the automatically updating piece. So every time our system ingests an article and finds your name on it, it will assign it automatically to your profile here. So this is automatically going all the time. And is a great way to kind of keep a running log of all of your work without having to save it in places in Word documents and downloading PDFs and saving all of that. As I kind of mentioned, there's a lot of benefits to having this profile, separate from having to buy your own domain for your own website, all the different clips, and maybe having to know various levels of coding and design. So with all of this, it's just one less worry as you're if you're currently freelancing for being able to share this with different editors to show your past work. As well, it's all kind of already there and ready to go, and it's not something you necessarily have to put in too much thought into. So earlier I mentioned verification on Muck Rack, and you can see that here on Danielle's page is a little green check mark that means verified. So separately from verification as it exists on social networks like X or Instagram, verification is manual applied by folks on my team who follow a strict set of criteria, which are at muckrack.com/criteria. And it's quite long, So what I would say, and without going through all of it, the long and short of it is we verify folks who are full-time working journalists, whether they're working at a publication or freelance. And there's no other kind of side gigs. They're not, doing marketing. They're not, kind of thought leaders or things like that. We only verify full-time working journalists. And with verification comes access to a number of different tools, which I can kind of go through now. So as you saw on Danielle and now Jasmine page, with with access to verification, all the kind of stuff that you see here on the profile is available to all. But with verification, your search that I kind of talked through earlier, this is unlimited. Whereas if you weren't verified, you're limited in the number of results that you can see. So it opens that up to you. Which is great. Another great tool that I know a lot of, especially freelancers love, or folks that are working in smaller newsrooms with smaller budgets, is a tool called Who Shared My Link. And what this does is that you run, the URL of your article through this, and it'll tell you, who shared it, who commented on it, as well. And I'll just click on maybe this one to show an example of what that looks like. And you can see who shared it on X, the tweet, the post that was in. Sorry for all the new X. I'm sure most of us are not used to using the X naming just yet, as well as some engagement metrics, sentiment, as well as some things like domain authority, UVM, and some other great data that may not be available to folks who don't have kind of more purpose-built tools for stuff like this. So this is the expanded amount of information is available to verified folks on Muck Rack. Something else I'd like to call out is actually our trending stories. So you can see this under helps and resources. This is I'm actually gonna refresh this. This may be old, but these are the stories that are coming into Muck Rack that are getting the most shares, the most traction again on social. And for a long time, this was kind of the engine behind our Muck Rack daily newsletter and where we were getting kind of our top stories from. So as you can see, I'm sure none of these stories are necessarily surprising you that things are being talked about, especially with the news going on this week. So those are a great way to kind of see who else is talking about these stories, either finding them through here or through the main search to kind of see, especially if you have folks that you watch that maybe are your competition, if you want to use that wording. And just kind of seeing who they're talking to, who their sources are, kind of the angles that they're taking in order to inform kind of your own writing is how we kind of like to talk about that. One tool that I'm excited to talk about is, and we launched this just last year, is Trends. So what Trends does is using, again, all of the data that I've been mentioning as I've been going through this, is leveraging all of that content that's coming in and all of the keywords and all of that to be able to allow you to see kind of an over time kind of comparison of coverage, either one item or multiple items. And you can see some of the examples that we have here, and you can kind of see the number of articles over, a certain amount of time. And then even just one that I threw it together, I was discussing with my husband the number of explainer articles about the coconut tree memes that have been going around. And I just had to go in and see, just the spike in coverage of coconut tree just in the past 30 days. So it's an interesting way to be like, oh, there really has been more. It's not just, in my head that I'm seeing these things. So Trends is a really great tool to, make various levels of complicated kind of comparisons, and these have been used by folks in their own coverage to talk about, what is or isn't being covered by the media writ large about anything. So those are super exciting. Something we just launched for within the journalist experience for verified journalists is job updates. So if you click into here, what this does is this shows you all the changes that we're making to profiles all across our platform. And this is algorithmically generated in a way based on who you've looked at or who are in your lists of people or outlets. You can even filter it to specific outlets to see who's maybe new at any of these kind of publications or more. We have, hundreds of thousands of publications all over the world. So, and if yours isn't listed, let us know. We have a little chat down here that you can use to send us a message, and we're happy to respond there. So job updates, those are new, and this is a great way to just see who's moving and who you should reach out to for who have new jobs. And if there's an editor or place, that you want to go write for, you can find them. So those are kind of the major pieces of that. I also recommend signing up for the Muck Rack Daily, which many of you already do at muckrack.com/daily. This is our daily digest written by journalists at Muck Rack about the industry and big major news. It's a great newsletter. I highly recommend, and we're working on making it even more industry focused in the coming months. So keep an eye out there as well. So that's the very, very high level of kind of all the things. So I want to throw it all to you if there's anything that maybe you'd like me to go more deeply on, or if there's a use case that maybe I didn't cover, and see if there's any questions there that I can help answer.
Andrew, I have a question.
Sure.
Um, could you explain a little bit, if you're doing a job search, how Muck Rack might be help you to target more, or how it compares to, say, LinkedIn?
Yes. So actually, it's a great question. I'm happy that you brought it up, Patricia. So we're actually, Muck Rack will be launching a jobs board by the end of August, hopefully, but very soon. So we've been working on it. And what we've done with that jobs board is that separately, probably differently than other jobs boards work, where they're kind of posting up one job at a time. Maybe they're charging places to post jobs. We're actually ingesting jobs the way we're ingesting any other article. So articles that are powering, these searches, or articles that you see on a person's page like this. We're also ingesting job links as articles. And we have a team of people who biweekly, and by biweekly, 2 times a week, not fortnightly, go through and collect all of those and place them in a jobs board that will be up again soon. So that the announcement, you'll see that go out. But in the meantime, I'd say, we have all of the kind of the big job boards and journalist associations kind of set up as outlets in Muck Rack. So maybe I actually might have you all in here, Overseas Press Club of America. I don't know if you all have jobs, but you can kind of look for all the different posts that are kind of coming through here. And it doesn't look like many, but I wish I had better prepared for the jobs question. Apologies, but it is an exciting time to mention that we will be launching a jobs board soon, and that'll be available to all journalists. And what it'll do is it'll kind of show just, like I said, just the most recent postings. It'll show where they're based. salary information where possible, if they're remote or not. So we're making sure that all of that really helpful information is there. And it kind of is in line with Muck Rack's mission in general, which is to consolidate information from across the web in one place. So instead of having to look at, 15 different job sites, you just have to go to one, and it hopefully makes life easier. So hopefully that answers your question, Patricia. But I'll follow up with some other things and send them your way for the folks on the call to have a look at. I'm not sure I can see the chat, Patricia, so I don't know if there's other stuff in there I might be missing.
Yes, Andrew Krieg asks, hi, I have a Muck Rack account, but
Mhm.
have never created a profile. Where do
Mhm.
I start?
Yeah. So hi, Andrew, fellow Andrew. So it's actually when you create an account, it creates a profile. So you may have one again that's, specifically that's been created. So you might be able to kind of connect those automatically using the email or the X profile that I'd mentioned earlier. But if not, yeah, just feel free to connect with me directly. Or I'll just throw up my info up here again. Feel free to connect with me directly on any of those platforms, or use the chat box, the chat function that I'd mentioned in the bottom right corner of Muck Rack. Once you log in, say, hey, I need help claiming my profile. Like, what do I do? And our team will respond very quickly, usually within, the hour, but, and they can help you get connected and updated. We can make sure that that we're tracking the outlets that you write for and all that work is promoted. So we're here to help you make sure that your profile looks the best that it can be. So I'd say log back into that profile, and even if you have issues getting your password, maybe you don't remember. Again, reach us either me directly or at hello@muckrack.com. And that sounds like it's an abyss, but that email is monitored, so your help will definitely be there to help you out.
So Andrew said that he just connected with Twitter, so he's ready to go.
There you go. See how easy that was? Thanks for demonstrating that for us, Andrew. But yeah, again, as you go through, and if you're not quite sure what's what or what to do next, we're standing by to help.
Okay, so there's a question, is there a way to do job update searches for a group of names, or
Names, John.
pass names into a search URL from Excel?
Sure. Yeah, actually, so it's a tool that I didn't quite go over because, so as many of you know, this tool is also purpose-built for public relations people to do their outreach. But verified journalists have access to also make media lists or outlet lists. Media lists being lists of people, and outlet lists being lists of specific outlets you might be interested in. And these are tools that can be used to filter your searches. So if you have maybe you can create a media list of sorry, it's taking its time, but maybe you have a media list of all your friends, colleagues, people you've come in across over the years, competitors at different outlets or publications, and you have them in a list. And you should be able to, filter that search um, by those. But let me just look here on the side. I'm not sure why it's running a little slowly. Okay, so actually, I think as we had seen earlier, so job updates can only be filtered by specific media outlets. So let's just go with ABC News since that's at the top of the list. And these are, you can see all the ones that are there, or you can, add, the BBC, and again see these folks. But I mentioned outlet lists, which are lists of outlets. So you can, search. Um, let's say using the search as you mentioned, you can look for all outlets in a specific market, let's say like Dallas, Fort Worth. And you can put all these outlets in one media list. Let's call it Dallas, as that goes. And if we go over here to outlet lists, you can select the Dallas outlet list, and looks like there haven't been any job updates there lately. These are in the past 30 days, I believe. But that's how that would work, is you can compile all those outlets in a list, and you can have multiple of those. There's no limit on how many of those you can have. But if you build media lists of people, the media lists are what feeds the algorithm. So if you have media lists of those people will come up further, but you can't filter specifically by those. But I will add that as a feature request because I think that's a good idea. But hopefully that answered your question.
Then Matt Stubbs asks, do you have to have an X account?
You do not. So X, so I will say, like, we were working on getting the wording changing. So when you request verification or you connect, it kind of makes X sound more required than it is, but absolutely not. It's not required at all. So you can definitely still claim and be verified without an X account. It's completely possible, and many people are, so not required at all.
Then Charles Rollet asks, first of all, he says, thank you, Andrew.
You're
I was
welcome.
wondering if it's possible to edit the automatically generated articles section. Some of the posts on my profile are from things I have not written. And then number two, if I already have a personal website, what are the benefits of also claiming my Muck Rack profile?
Yeah, great question. So to start, yes. So assigning, assigning um, articles to profiles is, I was hoping to find one of those folks that I talked to, but it's automatic, right? So we're not, obviously we're not reading every single article ourselves and assigning them. So as anything that's automated, there are times where it's not perfect. So in situations where you see articles that aren't yours, definitely flag that for us. So you don't currently have the ability to edit those yourself, but if you just send a message via the chat or via email and just say, hey, I'm looking at my page, these aren't mine, like, can you fix them? And we have ways to fix that. You can also, click, if you're on your page, you can see here there's an issue with an article, and you can just say like this by, and it has a different, a different reason. So when you click on it, what it does is it automatically opens a chat and gives us the information that my team needs to review that, and we can in bulk move that. So especially if you have, a name that's quite common, like a Smith or a Baker or something like that, we can make sure that those go to other people and not you, and we can set rules going forward. We can remove things, but we're even happy to remove articles that are yours, but maybe you don't want there. So maybe there was a point in your life where it was early in career and you're not really that proud of that coverage and you want it gone. We're happy to remove that as well. So we're here to, again, help you have your profile look as close as how you want it as you want, because that's kind of our goal. And then Patricia, remind me of the second part of the question. I do remember there were two.
The second part was, if I already have a personal website,
Oh,
what are the
yes.
benefits of also claiming my profile on Muck Rack?
Yeah, so I mean, I think they can live side by side, right? So I think sometimes, especially if you're more design minded and maybe you're actually good at coding, maybe you like the look of your own personal website better. You can have a contact form way to get in touch with you. But within Muck Rack, you can also list your website under your social links. Or even your contact form, so they can live here as well, and you can link, to one from the other. But I do think that as I mentioned earlier, I think the major benefit of Muck Rack, especially when it comes to the piece about portfolio management and keeping your work in one place, is that automated aspect of it for your digital articles like these, because as they're coming in, they're getting added automatically, and you don't have to think about it. So I'd say that's the biggest benefit. But there's no reason that your personal website and your Muck Rack profile can't live side by side otherwise.
Andrew, could you talk a little bit about the PR side and
Mhm.
how the PR people use Muck Rack?
Yeah, so a lot of these tools that have clear use cases for journalists, of course, have PR use cases. So the idea for us here is to make the research portion of a PR person's job easier to find the right people to contact. As you all well know, the PR people oftentimes will just spray and pray, send things. If you wrote one article about candy one time, you're suddenly the contact for them on every candy launch that they ever send, right? So our goal here with the information that you have on these pages, especially things like sorry, I you can put things like within your biography, you can put, where you've been, what you've done, your job title, your pronouns to make sure that you're referred to properly. Topics you do and don't cover, you can be specific and say, I do not cover this. So it puts all that information up front. And I think I showed you all the contact preferences earlier. So it says when, how, to ideally get contacted in the right way. And we have a lot of our system, especially our pitching system, because PR people can use our own internal system to pitch journalists, is we have blocks in place so you can request to be removed, and our system will say this person's been requested to be removed, you shouldn't email them, or they can see all of these preferences up front as they're making their list. So the idea is to just make them make the right choices and PR responsibly without, destroying all of your inboxes. So, then that's the outreach portion. And this also allows them to gather their coverage, get pinged when they're mentioned, kind of like Google News alerts of when their spokespeople, their products, their company is mentioned, and keep track of that. So it is to manage their workflow from kind of beginning to end. So that's the in a nutshell of how and why PR folks use Muck Rack.
I don't see any other questions in the chat. Why don't we wait a minute or two and see if there are any other
Sure,
questions?
absolutely. Yeah, it's all pretty straightforward. Thankfully, we're kind of a design-minded company, and we look to make things as simple as possible. But as you're going through using it, like, do not be afraid to keep in touch with us via the chat. We tag all kinds of feedback for future reference, and we're actually looking to redesign the Muck Rack profiles within the next few months. So all feedback is good feedback, and there's no shortage of examples in my mind of features and just and way we do things that have come directly from our user base, and includes PR people as well as journalists. So reach out anytime. We're always happy to hear from all of you.
Is is there anything else in the near future besides the job board that's on the planner? Well, you just mentioned redesigning the profile
Yeah, we'll be redesigning the
page, but
profile page, but then we're also going to be redesigning kind of with the front end. We're kind of also redesigning kind of what kind of information you're looking to put in. Some things that are coming down the pike is we're actually going to be enriching all of our article data with topics to make it more obvious what an article is actually about at a top level, and that will also feed through to journalist profiles to more clearly show what you've been writing about recently. So to go back to that candy example, if you've only written one article about candy in the last 5 years, that's not going to show up on your page. And again, the hope is to make that research process more straightforward for PR people so they pitch better and don't annoy you all as much. That's our goal, that's our hope. So with Danielle's example, we're hoping to have music and arts and fashion and e-commerce and things like that actually coming up. So top level, you can see what's actually going on, and there's an example of the covers doesn't cover. So a lot of that'll be coming too. So this profile, honestly, by the end of the year could look quite a bit different than it does now, with the hope of making more information available faster to help people make their decisions. And that'll all be available to journalist viewers as well on the platform, so not exclusively for the PR people.
and you quickly went through the testimonials at the beginning,
Mhm.
but could you briefly say the top two or three things that journalists like the most about Muck Rack?
Yeah, number one, it's free. It's always been free, it always will be free, and it's a great price point for anybody, especially journalists. Group of hardworking but often underpaid people. That's fabulous. I think, but I do think, it bears repeating, the piece that really people like the most is um, just that running, constantly updated tracking of their articles. And I know there's been a bit in the news recently about outlets just taking their websites down, or even like MTV deleting, years, if not a decade plus of past coverage. So we keep as much of that text and stuff in the system as possible. So we can be a good resource for folks who maybe you're not sure if that article's live anymore, but we might have at least, you know, the wording to send over. So it's kind of a historical kind of snapshot of a time in town, of a point in time. So that's and that really just is it. And I do think the biggest use case for us is obviously, you know, freelance folks. Again, the free price point, the automatically updating, because we did launch also. I forgot to mention this, the ability to create a like a news alert on a specific journalist, including yourself. And it's a very quick way to just say like, oh, I want to be pinged every time Danielle publishes. So you can just click this create alert, and it'll ask you how you want to do it, how often, keywords you want to look for, leave that empty for everybody. So the benefit here is to, you know, sometimes freelance folks don't know when their story goes live. They're just kind of waiting by with an email to hear from the editor. But with this, you can kind of take control over that and say, oh, my article got published. Great. Let me see how that looked, where they put it on the website, and, you know, things like that. So that's another great, you know, again, free for verified folks tool to use.
And when you create your profile, if you don't use a Twitter or X feed, how far back does the algorithm look for someone's work?
So it, you know, so it could be as far back as, you know, as like close to 15 years, as long as you've been around, because you've been just, and, you know, ingesting these stories for quite a long time, especially obviously kind of US based, larger sized outlets like your, you know, Wall Street Journals and your New York Timeses. But, you know, we also have the ability to, if the coverage isn't, if your coverage isn't there right now, if you have your own links that you've been saving for a while, or even your author page on a website, send that over and we can quickly grab all of those and automatically add them to your profile. So I've definitely personally helped backfill people's pages with the article. So whether we have it or not, if you have it somewhere or someplace that we can take it from, we can help to fill that in for sure.
Well, I don't see any more chat questions,
Nice.
Andrew, but I think this has been really interesting, and I think it'll be helpful to a lot of our members. So
Great.
we
Well, I hope,
appreciate it.
yeah,
Thank you.
I'll just end before I leave, just one last peek at my contact info. Again, anyone here, feel free to message me directly. I'm extremely responsive, I promise. And I'm happy to help anybody get set up, get all your stuff in, and we'll get those profiles looking great. So thanks for the opportunity. It was great to walk through Muck Rack with you all.
Okay, thank you very much, Andrew.
Thanks so much. Bye,
Bye-bye.
everyone.